Hello, welcome to another edition of Leading Edge. We started a new series on workplace dynamics in a post-COVID era. This, of course, was as a result of the webinar we had on the subject earlier. In that part one of the series, we looked at 6 critical areas of changes happening in the workplace today. Now, in that discussion, we identified the specific workplace changes as, number 1, that there is greater flexibility in corporate work. 2, that office spaces are becoming smarter and social. And 3, that work from home will persist. 4, e-learning is on the rise. And number 5, business attire may be retiring. And finally, number 6, we talked about the dynamics of performance management having changed. Today we shall continue with the second part of that series as we examine what I have called Changing Workplace Dynamics, 5 Ways to Stay in the Game. And this is for employees. Now, as we stated in the first part of this series, following the COVID-19 pandemic, we have seen many social and economic norms altered. Some of that will be with us for a short while the others will be permanent. Just a few days ago, I was speaking with an organization that was inviting me for an annual national conference, and it was not out of place to ask them if it was going to be virtual or an in-person event. So having a major event virtual is now not unusual. A number of international events this year have gone virtual. Now, so many things have changed, and that's been so fast and so deeply. Quick question. In your own experience, did you notice any changes in your workplace, in the way work is done in your organization? The workplace has, as we said, witnessed a number of dramatic changes. So many of the long-held rules and practices and established traditions have changed in the workplace today. For instance, some studies have shown that 4 of 5 workers have been impacted by the lockdown and by the stay-at-home measures during this crisis. Now, work styles that were considered impossible before now have become mainstream practices today. This, of course, holds implications for both employees and employers. For instance, a change in operational dynamics involving automations may mean fewer employees, it may mean more virtual work, it may mean digital upskilling, right? Though life is gradually returning to normal, with many employees returning to their workplace, some work processes, techniques, meetings, and events may still be conducted in the virtual space, with all of its merits and, of course, challenges. The critical thing to note then is, if the world around you is changing, you will need to change how you live in it. You must then seek to adjust how you think of it, how you relate to it, and how you operate in it. The question then is, how are you going to handle the evolving new dynamics in the workplace as an employee and as a business leader or owner? Also note that the job market has been badly battered with millions of job losses, and many more may be coming. This is because many companies and entire industries have themselves been battered. It would therefore be naive to simply assume that your job is safe because you have returned to work. You therefore need to have a plan on how you can remain in the game, a plan on how to survive and thrive in these uncertain times. To support you in having a firm handle on the current challenges of uncertainty and changing workplace dynamics, I'll be sharing with you, therefore, these 5 ways to stay in the game. So let's begin. Number 1, increase your skill sets. Now, even before the COVID-19 pandemic, many workers across the world lacked certain critical skills, especially digital skills. Now, I remember an HR person telling me of a recruitment exercise for a technical role that took place just at the start of the lockdown. Now, the pre-employment interview was virtual. One of the candidates was struggling with using the Zoom platform where the session was to hold. Of course, this was an outright put-off for those who were interviewing. He wasn't ready for the new world, especially competing with other candidates who were equally good or even better. So upskilling has always been core to professional growth. It's even more so now in preparation for the changes that have come and will still come with a post-COVID world, a new digital-first world and workplace. Upskilling would then be a critical part of the response and recovery for a post-COVID workplace. Now, a recent Forbes article highlights 8 skills that will be relevant for the post-COVID era. Now, these are adaptability and flexibility. Number 2, tech savviness. 3, creativity and innovation. And then data literacy. Then there is critical thinking, leadership, emotional intelligence, and learning agility. These are worth reflecting on. Increasing your skill set, and especially digital skills, will be a critical part of staying relevant in these changing times. A few days ago, I was speaking with an ex-banker who wanted to relaunch his career after stepping away for 4 years. Part of the question I asked him was this: whether he had picked some new skills and certifications over this period, apart from his selling skills. The reason is this: some of the traditional skill sets of the past are fast going out of high demand or even out of fashion. The environment is awash with them. Okay? Now, there are new areas where demands for such skills have increased. Those areas of skill gaps across national economies will be areas that you should do well to consider as you make decisions about new skills and new career choices. It will then be important at this time to assess your skills and expand it as needed. If you have lost a job as a result of this pandemic, and by the way, several millions of jobs have been lost already, this is an opportunity to round out your skills in order to increase your employability. Overall, you need to conduct a diagnostics of your current knowledge base in relation to what's required for you to stay relevant. Such a skill gap analysis will help you determine the skills you need to bolster. There are some free apps that allow you to assess your skills. Avail yourself of them and seek to be prepared for your current and future jobs. Now we go to number 2. Number 2 is increase your relevance. Now, staying relevant in your organization and field has become critical, not just for how you grow in your profession, but more importantly for survival in your organization at this time. I'll tell you why. Now, most businesses have been badly affected by the pandemic, especially in the area of revenues and overall cash flows. Just consider sectors like education, entertainment, luxury goods, aviation, etc. Now, in Nigeria, for instance, a study of business owners across the states by Faith Foundation showed that about 72% of respondents noted that their cash flows have been negatively impacted. The point is that many organizations are currently in cost stretches as their businesses dwindle. Cost saving has therefore become a big agenda for them. So, employee contribution to business revenue is now a core metric. Employees should therefore ensure that they are relevant to the growth of the organization. You need to conduct what I may call a productivity health check. What's your level of productivity and overall relevance in your organization? And consider the following productivity health check questions. Are you still considered important in the growth plan of your organization? What level of impact does your performance make in the company or institution? Are you still being considered for important projects and assignments in the office? What's your ranking in terms of performance and relevance among your peers? In a word, are you considered relevant in your organization and in your field? So relevance is based on your capacity for making significant contributions to the survival and growth of the organization. As most companies scale down their operations and overheads, only relevant employees will survive. So here are ways to gauge your relevance in your organization. 1, role criticality. How critical is your role? That's the question. Is it a role that the organization can scrap? Is it a role that can be easily subsumed in another function? Okay? You need to ask that. Number 2, personal contribution. How strong is your contribution to either the operations or the revenue of the organization? This is a key factor in determining your relevance at this time. Number 3, elastic capacity. Are you multi-skilled enough to take on more activities in the organization, especially as some organizations seek to consolidate some roles? Number 4, industry position. Are you a relevant name, or do you possess a critical skill that the rest of the industry requires? In that case, your organization will seek to reinvent you so that you don't leave them. Or, even if you leave, you will be considered a great talent in the industry and therefore will easily move on in your profession. Note this: if you have a specialized skill, use it to help your company to achieve great things at this time. This will be important. Remember, your ongoing employment is tied directly to your company's success. Help your company succeed. Therefore, build a reputation in your company and in the industry as a doer, as a problem solver. That's called relevance. Okay. So number 3, increase your options and reinvent yourself. Now, as the dust settles and organizations resume operations fully, business leaders are faced with tough decisions about organizational survival and how to reposition for growth, right? This is especially so for industries that have been severely impacted by the economic crisis. As I highlighted earlier, staff reductions or retrenchments may be inevitable in several organizations as they respond to this unusual period and as they drive their digital agendas, all right? So many organizations are transforming digitally. Now, this is a time to reflect deeply on where you are and how you need to respond to any potential shakeups. So what are your options? What's your game plan? Are you next job ready? Are you ready for an alternate path? Now, whether your career has been impacted already by COVID-19 or not, you need to reinvent yourself at this point and be ready for your next move. So prepare your plan B ahead of time. Reinventing yourself may require that you pick up new certifications or, say, accreditations. It may mean pivoting. It may mean, deploying your experience, your knowledge, your skills in moving to a different field. And sometimes this may require not just a change of career, but a relocation to a different geography. So be courageous and make the move if you confirm that it is right to make that move, right? Now, reinvention may also mean to restart, even from a smaller place. Again, be courageous to make the adjustments. You will find that with time, you simply grow back up, sometimes even bigger and better. To gain further insights on how to conduct such reinvention and be ready for a pivot, I would strongly recommend that you revisit the Leading Edge series on managing transitions. You can get all 4 parts of the series from our Joshua Leadership YouTube channel. Okay, so number 4. Number 4 is increase your visibility. Now, in addition to being productive and making contribution, visibility is another critical element in career growth, especially now. At a level, performance gives you visibility. But at a higher level, you need to be intentional about being seen to be performing. You need to be visible within and outside your organization. Now, within your organization, this is even more critical at this time of work from home and the entire phenomenon of the virtual economy. It is critical to remain visible. Have a clear and consistent line of communication with your supervisor. Volunteer to take assignments and projects. Ask about what more you can do to help. And be effective with work from home in order to drive trust, right? So have a reliable internet, be daily and available for meetings, make contributions, come up with fresh, initiatives. Get things done and build a reputation as the go-to person. This is not the best time to be introverted, I'll tell you sincerely, all right? Apart from visibility within your organization, try and also expand your visibility in the industry, in your environment. Expand your network. Be active and visible in critical professional platforms and fora. Write professional articles. Speak in critical platforms. Build your personal brand as a subject matter expert in your field. In a time of shrinking or limited job slots, those who are silent and inconspicuous are easily forgotten. It is critical in a time of flux like this to stay positively relevant in social networks. This will increase your visibility. In a word, get to be seen and heard. Be visible. Right. So we come to number 5. Number 5 is start a business. This is an option. Now, have you considered setting up your own thing or having a side hustle, as they say? Especially for those who have an entrepreneurial flair, you may consider starting a small business of your own. In doing so, however, you must meet 3 critical conditions so that you don't violate professionalism and standards. This is if you are still an employee of an organization. Now, 1, the side hustle must not compromise the time you are to spend on your regular job or impact your overall productivity. That will be stealing. Number 2, the side hustle must not be in the same line of business with your employer. That will become conflict of interest and it's unprofessional. Let me give you an example. Just imagine that you work in a business consulting outfit and you are earning money from this organization, and then you set up the same kind of side business that directly competes with the business of your employer. That's not right. Number 3, your side business must be declared to your employer. This is best practice. It gives you credibility. So start a business if you are passionate about it and can find the opportunity. This gets you ready when it's time to step away. You can transit from keeping a job to creating jobs. That's what it does for you. It's not an easy call though. The dynamics are different and the initial challenges are big. But if you are steady and unflinching, it pays off eventually. As they say, the best advice anyone can give you is mind your own business. I must note that not everyone is called to run a business. But if you have the passion and capacity for it, embrace it with both hands and do it early enough. Okay, so these are the 5 ways you can stay in the game. So let me recap. Increase your skill sets. The new world of work requires some critical skills. Number 2, increase your relevance. Contribution is critical for you to retain your job and to thrive. And number 3, increase your options and reinvent yourself. And number 4, increase your visibility, both within and outside your organization. And number 5, start a new business if you have the entrepreneurial flair. Now, as I close, take note. In a post-COVID era with the changing dynamics of work and the cost challenges facing several organizations, employees will need to demonstrate value and stronger contribution to keep their jobs. Relevance has become key to survival. You must therefore upskill and invest in reinventing yourself so that you may stay in the game. Never forget, the dramatic changes that crises such as the COVID-19 pandemic bring also create winners and losers. If you play your game well, trust me, you will set yourself up to win. I dare say then that you will not only survive this time, you will break into new frontiers that will deliver growth in your personal and professional life. Okay, so here we come to the end of today's session. I'd like to thank you again for joining us. And please, if you have not started following us on all our social media handles, please do well to follow us across everywhere where we have our footprints. Okay? Now continue to like, comment, and to share these videos if it has been useful to you. Thank you again for joining. This has been Leading Edge.